but like, so I had someone that originally, I had a few people that are older than me. They were telling me, "Oh, I have to go to Medellin. I have to go to Medellin," and I was like in high school, and I had no idea where the fuck Medellin was. I thought it was like in Asia or something, because it kind of sounds like that a little
Yeah.
bit. I don't know. They just kept telling me and telling me like, "Oh, it's in Colombia. It's in Latin America," and like, growing up in like high school and then going through college, it was like, what's in Latin America? Like no one talks
Where
about,
where
right?
were you? Where were you in the U.S.?
I grew up in Oregon um, and then I currently live part time in Las Vegas. And then I went to college in California. So a lot of places on the West Coast.
Got it. Got it. And they're telling you
Um,
get to Colombia,
mhm.
Medellin.
Yeah, they're like, you got to go to Medellin. It's the next best place, next best city. And I was like, all right. So eventually, after I graduated college, I went and I was like, oh my God, this place is amazing. Right. It was like, the food is incredible. It's super cheap. It's affordable. It's great for living. There's tons of expats here that speak English. So it's not like I'm stuck only like trying to learn Spanish, and it's easy to get around. People are friendly. So I was just like, why do I need to leave? So I kind of planted some roots here, and then I'm like in Medellin like 6 months out of the year. The other 6 months I'm either home or traveling. So I've found a pretty good balance with it, I
That sounds
guess.
incredible. What an incredible place to be.
Oh, it is. Where are you based?
I'm in Nebraska.
Nebraska?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. No, no. I always get, usually when I say that to people, I always get some kind of reaction because people are like, wait, what's in Nebraska? Aren't there just cornfields in Nebraska? And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much all we have out here. It's pretty
Mhm.
low key way of living, but it's a great place to raise a family. And for us with Exodus, I mean, we started Exodus with the intent of building a world changing company, and we
Mhm.
knew that to do that we were going to go remote only from the get go. So, but as far as Nebraska goes, it's a great place to live, and it's cheap. So,
Mhm.
and there's good food. So,
Are you a Cornhusker?
yeah, yeah, but yeah, born and raised here. Yeah,
Hell yeah.
yeah.
Big football guy or sports guy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you live in Nebraska, it's kind of a rite of passage. You kind of have to be.
Okay.
So growing up, yeah, and every Husker fan will always remind you of the glory days of the mid '90s. But and the hope to return to the mid '90s. But we won three national championships. But
It's
it's
looking pretty tough for
it's
them. I mean, that was a long time ago.
it's gonna be a while. I think everybody's just got to get cozy and get comfortable with where we're at today.
Yeah, it's the one thing with sports, people they get so tied down to like their dynasties back in the day. And I'm like, dude, like it happened a long time ago. There's no guarantee it's coming back. Things shift and change up in sports all the time. Like Nebraska will probably come back at some point, but like it just shifts because of growing cities and where players want to grow up, and the talent dynamics, of like where regionally, like it, what do you call it, the hotbeds, those kind of shift around a lot, so it really dictates recruiting and stuff like that, and
But
which is
it's
huge for.
frustrating though. Like it's frustrating to watch teams, rise up, do really well, and then
Yeah.
fall, and then rise up again before us. We're sitting here on
Hmm.
the sidelines being like, "Oh, come on, really? Like they're in the top 25 now, and we're not even ranked. Like that's the life of a Husker fan."
Yeah, college football is a crazy world. You never know what's going to happen, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyways, yeah, well, you told me a little bit about your background, from Nebraska and everything. You're still in Nebraska, like Exodus is based in Nebraska, or what's up with that?
Yeah, so Exodus, we were founded in Nebraska back in spring of 2015 is when the idea was created, and
Hmm.
and let's see the number of employees we have in Nebraska now. I don't know, maybe 9 or 10 or so. So we're headquarters in Nebraska, but worldwide we have 137 people, and we are a remote only company. There's no actual physical offices that we hold.
That's cool. So you do everything remotely and virtually.
Yeah, everything remote, and it all started because it's like we've got to think very unconventionally in terms of building a company in the future, a decentralized company in the future.
Hmm.
And so we were thinking, okay, let's be remote only. And this allows us to find the best talent, anyways, right? We can go
Hmm.
to Russia, to Jordan, to the UK, and find the best talent all over the world. And so we started with remote only. In addition to that, we said, let's pay 100% of our salaries in Bitcoin.
Hmm.
And to this day, I still have yet to find another crypto company that's 100% of salary. Like, I know there's crypto companies that will pay fractions of their salaries in Bitcoin, but
Hmm.
100% of their salaries in Bitcoin. It's a must. Like,
That's pretty cool.
if you're going to work at Exis, you have to get your salary in Bitcoin. And it actually has another cool side effect to it. It's like you can figure out if the person's mission driven or not. Like, do you like cryptocurrency? Do you like Bitcoin? All right, come join us, right? If it's
Hmm.
scary, like, I don't know if I can take that weird Bitcoin, and then don't work for Exodus. It's not, this is not the place for you. But again, it goes all back to thinking about things in an unconventional manner, and building a company that, yeah, it was started in Nebraska, but long term, we don't think of ourselves as just a Nebraska company. We think of ourselves as an international, worldwide, global company.
Is there like crypto state laws like in Nebraska that like kind of help support, you being able to do that? Like I know Wyoming has like a ton of them. They've made a huge push and now obviously Florida is in Miami and so yeah, kind of curious. Is there any like legislation through Nebraska that like makes that a little bit easier on you guys?
Not yet. They are
Hmm.
working on some legislation to make it similar to Wyoming, but I
Hmm.
think it's more related to the banking laws and how the banking laws work,
Hmm.
not so much to what we're doing. But since we're a non-custodial wallet where you control the assets, the keys, the a lot of those laws and regulations don't really help us in any shape or form.
Okay, gotcha. What about for like when you're paying your employees and like Bitcoin and stuff like that? Like it's pretty seamless for them in terms of getting paid and reporting. They just gotta like get their Bitcoin wallet, right?
Yeah, so think of it this way: if we're let's say a person was going to receive, I don't know, just to make numbers simple, I'm going to say just $10,000 a month, right? Just
Hmm.
pre-tax $10,000 a month. Let's say their salary is $120,000, so pre-tax they're going to receive $10,000 a month. So what happens then is we work with a payroll company, and they do all the standard payroll, healthcare, and deductions just normally. And so that's just as an employee of Exis, you don't even have to worry about any of that. You're still a standard employee, just like at any other company in the United States. And then the leftover, let's just say, I don't know, $6,000 or $7,000 is what you're actually paid in Bitcoin, your take home
Hmm.
pay. So on the first of the month, it's actually still pretty manual. We have a spreadsheet for everyone, and we go
Hmm.
down one by one by one, and we just have a list of everybody's salary, and one by one, we send out those Bitcoin transactions. But that's how it works.
Do you think your employees keep it in Bitcoin? Like if they did, like at least a little bit, they probably are really happy.
Oh, so it's kind of funny. There's some early employees that have said that they have not sold. I mean, throughout the years, they've sold some, but the
Hmm.
early days they kept a lot in Bitcoin, and I'm sure they're really happy today.
Oh yeah, I'd be happy. Like I'd definitely keep a little bit of that paycheck in Bitcoin, especially with how much has gone up over the last year. My God, it's been
Well,
crazy.
and it's just the beginning too, right? Like, a lot of people,
Hmm.
so Michael Saylor, it was what, back in, I think, September, when
Hmm.
he announced that they're buying Bitcoin and all the early sorts of things.
Yeah.
That's what kind of kicked everything off, right? Well, Tesla and Elon Musk buying Bitcoin in February. I think that's just the beginning now of public companies of in the S&P 500 where they're going to start really buying Bitcoin, and so it's still
Hmm.
early.
I think everyone's looking for that next catalyst, though, for this next cycle of the bull run, I guess. I mean, when you look at it, what do you think that could be? Because there's so many moving parts right now.
Yeah, so I think it's going to continue to be more public companies buying Bitcoin, because
Hmm.
how much more bullish can you really get? Like, okay, you
Hmm.
know, Tesla bought Bitcoin, and then Elon says that, hey, someday we're going to accept Bitcoin for Tesla cars, and that day just happened to be a couple days ago when they actually announced that. So I don't know how much more bullish we can get. There's multiple ETF announcements coming. the
Hmm.
SEC, I'm assuming here, but the SEC is going to have to approve a Bitcoin ETF eventually because Canada just
Hmm.
launched one, and people can't continue to use companies like MicroStrategy as a kind of pseudo ETF. So
Sure.
ETFs are going to be coming later this year. But I think the big catalyst is going to be the macro narratives of the Fed continuing to print money. That's not going to change, and more public companies continue to put it on their balance sheets. I don't see that changing.
Very cool. Yeah. So yeah, tell me a little bit more about like Exodus. So like, is it just a wallet, or can you do like other things inside the wallet? I downloaded it last week, and I gotta say it's pretty badass. And I like the UI design, like the layout and everything. It's really cool.
Yeah, so Exodus is the most beautiful, easy to use cryptocurrency platform that allows you to send, receive, and manage a portfolio of cryptocurrency. 1.2 million people trust Exodus to store their assets, and most
Hmm.
people love Exodus for the in-app exchange. In other words, you can easily exchange one asset for another asset. There are, I believe, a little over 10,000 trading pairs supported, and so it's
Hmm.
very, very seamless inside the wallet. So that's the biggest thing that people love Exodus is that in-app exchange. But in addition to that, there's a lot of other stuff that it supports. Another thing that people love is staking, right? So being able to earn yield on cryptocurrency without actually giving it up, in custody. So, so many people are used to like, bank account, like I'm going to deposit, my dollars in a bank in a savings account, and I'm going to earn
Hmm.
a small interest on those dollars. Well, there are a number of crypto assets these days where you can hold them, and just by holding them, you can earn interest, earn yield on these assets. And so we make staking very seamless,
Hmm.
whereas other wallets, you have to put a lot of work and thought into actually making it work. And that's important. So I'll use it. I'll give you an example. So some wallets out there with like Cardano want you to pick your Cardano staking pool. Now that's fine, and I understand why they do that.
Hmm.
But the problem is that you as a customer of that wallet, you have to pay attention to the balance in the staking pool. If that balance exceeds 64 million ADA Cardano,
Hmm.
then you're going to start losing out on your rewards. And so what Exodus does, it makes it very seamless so that you don't have to think about that. You just press one button, stake, and Exodus manages the pool, the staking pool management for you, so you don't even have to think about it. So that's another feature that I think a lot of our customers really really love and use.
Hmm.
In addition to the desktop mobile wallet supported on both platforms, also supports the Trezor, so that people that want that cold storage, that peace of mind, can easily plug in their Trezor to their desktop wallet, and just get that ease of support there. Um, but one of the biggest things that we're most excited about, and this is just at the ground floor, is that inside of Exodus, we are having our public offering. So what that means is that people, whether they're accredited investors or non-accredited investors,
Hmm.
will be able to, and this is pending SEC approval, will be able to purchase Exodus shares directly inside the wallet with either Bitcoin, Ethereum, or USDC. So this is the first of its kind, this offering, and
Hmm.
we believe that by doing this, we'll be able to show the world that this is possible, and that other companies will want to come in and do an offering inside of Exodus Wallet. And we can essentially then create the beginning of a new stock market on the blockchain. But that's up and coming here, anticipated within, as far as this offering, by the end of March or early April. So we're really soon on that one.
Yeah, that's really cool. I actually saw that one, the tokenized share offering that you guys are doing. And so, yeah, you guys are waiting SEC approval on that, right? Like, how long do you know how long that process is, or is it kind of just whenever they decide?
So we submitted. I think the original submission was back in around September. And so we've just been having back and forth communication with the SEC and with our attorneys on this.
Hmm.
And so we anticipate what happens is that kind of the number of questions decreases over time. And so you can kind of predict from that moment. And so it's still possible that the SEC may have some concerns, with how things are being done. We don't know. We can't speculate on that, but we anticipate that it will be soon. Like I said, end of March, early April. But again, it's all dependent upon what the SEC says and if they will qualify.
Yeah, well, I kind of feel bad for the SEC. They're getting backed into a corner by the like entire crypto industry. You got all these people submitting things like this for like tokenized share offerings, and you got ETFs pending, and you got this battle with Ripple that pretty much sets precedent in the entire industry. Like I feel bad for them in a way.
It's I would not envy that position because that would be really hard when companies come along, especially like Exodus, and are like, "Hey, we're going to reinvent the entire stock market and the financial
Hmm.
system. We're going to reinvent it all." And then, as a SEC regulator, you're going to be like, "Well, wait a second, hold on. Everybody's familiar with the stock market and how it works. Why do you, crazy company? Why do you want to change things?" And so I understand how that could be something that, as a regulator, you have to spend your time to really dig into the details and specifics to make sure that you get it right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, I wouldn't want to be in their position at all. You touched on security too. Like in terms of like the level of security of using like an Exodus wallet, does it come down to like what the customer is doing? Are they using like Trezor and like Ledger and like are those like available for them to connect to their wallet? Or like what are the different security features you guys include? Because it's obviously a huge importance in the space.
Absolutely. So, as a part of being the custody, or controlling your own funds, your own assets,
Hmm.
you have to take responsibility to keep these assets safe. So, if you have an Exodus desktop wallet on just like your MacBook laptop or whatever it is, then
Hmm.
you have to keep in mind that that wallet is only as safe as the computer that it's on. So in other words, if you have a virus or if you have malware on that computer, your money would be at risk. And this is where a Trezor can come in and help you out. And so Exodus does support a Trezor, and you can have your wallet on the Trezor, and then you use the Exodus interface directly with your Trezor. So what that means though is that the 12-word secret phrase, or the 12-word seed, the private seed, never
Hmm.
leaves the Trezor, never enters into your computer, and so that you can use Exodus for the interface and Trezor for your security. In addition to that, uh, money using Exodus on your phone is actually very safe because it's hard to get malware or a virus on your phone unless it's rooted or jailbroken. Well, then that would be a problem. But if it's not rooted or
Hmm.
jailbroken, it's harder for malware or a virus to steal your funds on your phone. However,
Hmm.
the real problem then becomes, if you're out at a bar or a pub or whatever, and you've got your portfolio open, and you're looking at it and you're like, oh, this is awesome, I've done really well. Then you just have to be very careful that, yeah, if somebody's around, that they could come and basically put a gun to your head and take your funds. And so these
Hmm.
are things that we are thinking about, and we're thinking about building solutions to solve both of these problems, both the malware virus problem and both the robber putting a gun to your head problem. And the solution to that is kind of a form of multi-sig, multi-signature technology, where it would require both your desktop and your mobile phone, bring
Hmm.
them together in kind of a two-factor authentication multi-sig world, and that would do a pretty good job of solving those problems. So we anticipate that will come out later this year or early 2022 to solve those problems.
Have you guys thought about using like a dummy wallet method? Like I know Ledger, I think still does, maybe Trezor too, but like they have one where you can put in like an alternate pin code. So like if you did have a gun pointed to your head, and then you could give them a fake wallet with like a really small amount of Bitcoin or something like that.
You could
Um,
actually do something like that today with Exodus. So here's how you do that. Exodus
mhm.
supports multiple portfolios in one wallet. So what you would
Mm,
do is in your primary portfolio, you would have kind of the dummy balances. And
mhm,
then you would create another port. You can just add a new portfolio, and that would be your real wallet. And when you're out and about, let's say you're going to go somewhere, you're going to go to, like I said, a bar, a club, or whatever, and you're like, I don't want anybody to see my other portfolio or wallet. What you could do is you can just delete it and it'll still be there, but then nobody would see it. Now, that is a form of kind of security through obscurity. And so that's not, traditionally in the security community, they say that security through obscurity or through hiding is not real security. And they are right, but it's something that could help you if you had no other alternatives. So I'm not recommending that people do this, but let's assume that you only have a phone, you only have one wallet, one Exodus wallet or whatever. This might be a solution that you could use to get you by until you were able to buy like a Tracer wallet for your desktop.
I was kind of curious, like, because you guys are all virtual, you do everything. You don't necessarily have like a one place everyone goes or physical office. Did the pandemic like affect you guys in terms of like developments or anything like that, or were you guys actually just better positioned?
It actually we were better positioned, and we have an employee in China, and in
Hmm.
early February, this employee he's like, JP, can you send me some masks because we're out in China, and so I had somebody on our team buy a extra mask. I'm like, just in case this makes its way here. Let's buy some extra. Let's send our employees some masks. And so we bought extra for other employees, and that really paid off because we started sending masks to other employees. But yeah, we were well positioned because when the world transitioned to remote, we were already remote, and it didn't really affect much for people in their working environment.
Okay, gotcha. Well, that's good. It's I know a lot of companies in the space got affected pretty hard, but it's good to know that you guys didn't have too many issues with that at least.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, we sailed through it. Other than when the pandemic really hit, it was
Hmm.
I don't know. I think it was like March 12th or March 13th. I don't know if you remember the when cryptocurrency just collapsed. Bitcoin just fell. And I remember thinking like, oh no, this is terrible. Like the halving's coming up, and
Hmm.
people, the whole world's looking at Bitcoin as maybe it could have been an asset that would have helped, and now it's a disaster. And who would have guessed? Who would have guessed that within a year from that moment, that Tesla would be buying Bitcoin and put it on their balance sheet? Nobody would have ever predicted that. So that was the only moment where I remember thinking like, oh shit, like as a business, because we pay our salaries in Bitcoin. Our
Hmm.
own balance sheet is in a lot of it's in Bitcoin, and so we thought like, are we going to be in trouble? But it ended up we sailed right through it. Bitcoin rebounded. I didn't take long. Maybe it was just a few weeks.
Hmm.
Maybe it was a month or so, or a couple months, but it rebounded, and it's been upward ever since.
You know what's been interesting since we had that huge market dip in the during the pandemic? Bitcoin was like moving up before that too. Like
Yeah.
beginning of
Oh yeah.
2020, the whole market was moving up, and then obviously pandemic hit, things crashed, but very few things recovered very quickly out of that market though. It was really interesting to see that Bitcoin was one of the things that recovered the fastest.
Oh, absolutely. I remember reading a tweet. Somebody tweeted out, they said the narrative of the halving is dead. Like that everybody looks at this and that the whole thing is dead. But you're
Hmm.
absolutely right. Like it just bounced. It recovered really fast, and it was incredible to see. And with come to find out, Michael Saylor that summer, I think he was just scooping Bitcoin, and
Yeah.
good for him to scoop as much as he scooped.
He's a smart guy. Like he really deserves the credit he's getting now because I think he was really overlooked before that. But yeah, he's like the hottest thing in crypto right now.
Oh yeah, like he's the series with let's say, yeah, with him and Breedlove. where that 7 or 8 part series is incredible. That one I was just like really
Hmm.
diving into, and like, wow, this is crazy to think about the transition of human history and energy and all these sorts of things. And so yeah, you're right. Saylor is a very, very smart dude that deserves a lot
Hmm.
of credit for getting this ecosystem to where it is today.
Yeah, he's fun to listen to, and it's cool every time you get to see him in the news going out and trying to push more people, hedgies and Wall Street and everyone with the big money to try and buy Bitcoin to get into the industry, because he's such a smart guy. So it's fun seeing him like really push it. But like in terms of like the market, um, I feel like we're going to see a lot of companies with Bitcoin on their balance sheet
Mhm.
at the end of this month because Q1's about to end.
Yep.
And I think that's the key thing that most people are missing is that those balance sheets get revealed and who knows who added Bitcoin to their balance sheet. And that could definitely provide the spark we need to kind of get through this 60,000 ish threshold.
Oh,
Who
I
knows?
think so. And here's another potential signal: is Saylor. Let's see, how many times has he bought Bitcoin within the last, I don't know, month and a half, 2 months? There's been I want to say maybe 3 times. He did another debt issuance of, I think it was like $1 billion, and then there were 2 or 3 times where he announced that, hey, uh, MicroStrategy's just spent another $10 to $15 million to acquire a small bit of Bitcoin, and you're probably, people are probably wondering like, why, wait a second. He just bought billions of Bitcoin. Why is he spending another 10 to 15 million? My personal take on that, again, I
Hmm.
have no information on this to suggest this actually happening. So it's pure speculation on my part, is that he just found out from, because other public company CEOs or CFOs, they're calling him up and they're like, all right, Michael, what are we going to do? How do we buy this Bitcoin?
Of
So my
course.
bet on this is that he just got off a call with, some public company CEO or CFO that said they just bought Bitcoin, and he's like, all right, load up, time to load up more, keep loading up those bags of Bitcoin. Again, pure speculation on
Hmm.
my part, but I suspect that's what's happening. And then you're right, the earnings announcements in April, I think that's when
Hmm.
we're going to find out who is a hodler and who was scooping.
Exactly. It's kind of feels so weird that it's coincidental that you have like Ripple and the SEC, that's going to set precedent, that, crypto is not a security necessarily, especially like XRP and whatnot. So that, that excludes so many companies that want to buy Bitcoin from SEC scrutiny if they collaborated and all bought together. So you got to wonder if they're looking at this and they're all, under the table on the phone talking to each other like, if you buy Bitcoin, I'll buy Bitcoin. And if he buys Bitcoin, she'll buy Bitcoin. And it's eerie in a way because they all do it OTC under the table, so it doesn't pop up and reflect on the exchanges and move the price. So who knows how much they have? I'm kind of in that boat right now where I'm like, I think we're going to be in for a little bit of an April surprise, when the earnings come out for Q1, and that maybe will be the thing that pushes us over the top because it's just way too bullish right now. There's no way that we go down any further at this point. Like we got to finish this cycle out.
Oh, I think it's safe. Like, there was this old joke that if you say Bitcoin will never fall under 10K, like sure enough, it's going to fall under 10K. And I think we can
Mhm.
safely say we're beyond that now. And I agree with you. This year is going to be very bullish. I agree that more public companies will be buying Bitcoin, but I think it's going to get cooler than that. I think, imagine how many nations out there too are looking at Bitcoin just a little
Mhm.
bit, just to add to the reserve. Like they've got
Mhm.
gold, they've got dollars, they've, treasuries. Some nations have got to be thinking like, let's add just a little bit of Bitcoin to our treasury here and just make sure that we're protected here, because it's gonna. I mean, I think a lot of people are seeing the value of Bitcoin and what it can offer.
Yeah, even Deutsche Bank in Germany came out and said that you'd be, incredibly stupid not to consider Bitcoin as, part of your portfolio at this point. So,
Isn't that
then
wild? Isn't that
it
wild
is
that all
wild.
these banks, like, Morgan Stanley recently announced that
Hmm.
they are holding Bitcoin on behalf of their wealthy customers, and
Hmm.
J.P. Morgan Chase is coming out and saying the same things, like you got, you should consider Bitcoin. Like the banks now of all
Hmm.
all institutions are saying you should consider Bitcoin. Pretty wild, wild times.
Well, they figured out that they could make a lot of money off the fees. So
Yep.
these exchanges are you're making a buttload of money and they're just sitting on the sideline. And these banks are just like, what the fuck, man? That could be us. So now it's shifting. Like here in Colombia, like the banks are very anti-crypto at the moment. So it makes it very hard to
They
do
still
anything with
are
crypto
anti.
here in a way, but that's like half the narrative. Like the real story is like Banco Colombia here in Colombia. They're doing a partnership with Gemini right now to in a sandbox to produce crypto products and
Wow,
exchanges and stuff like that.
that's still
Uh,
pretty
the,
big.
yeah, the Vivienda, another bank in Colombia, they're partnered with Binance doing the same thing.
That
So
seems huge.
I know like it's coming. It's coming slowly, but it's going to happen at some point. I think it's a matter of time, but all these banks are going to jump on board. They're going to make so much money off fees. They got to stay relevant in a digital
Oh yeah.
age. Fiat is a dying breed, so I'm not surprised too much.
Absolutely. I mean, when if you're a bank and you're watching like Binance daily volumes, what,
Mhm.
20, 30, 40, 50 billion dollars a day, you
Mhm.
cannot be thinking to yourself like, we've got to get in this game and make money off this stuff. And that's exactly what they're doing, which it's good for the ecosystem, because if we get them involved too, then it adds, I think, more protection to the entire ecosystem.
Oh yeah. Well, on the opposite side of that, what do you think about like DEXs right now and swaps? Like they've kind of like they're starting to change the game in how people trade their crypto, and it kind of it's starting to fix a lot of the issues exchanges have, but it's
Mhm.
like full on like decentralized. Like, do you think that's like the right route to go? Is it something that's exciting for you guys? Because I know as a
Oh yeah.
wallet, that's huge for you guys because you don't have to work with a giant centralized exchange. You can use Uniswap or something like that, and do swaps in the wallet. So I imagine it's great for you.
Absolutely. So our mission is to help half of the world exit the traditional financial system. And so a DEX is something that has very little friction, right? You can
Mhm.
just go to this smart contract, and if it's in an easy to use interface, you can easily exchange from one asset to another asset without an issue. A lot of people don't even know that Exodus itself, behind the scenes, uses Uniswap for some exchanges, some Ethereum token exchanges. So we see a future where DEXs are going to actually own the world of exchanging. It's just a matter of time. Right now, it's still very complicated. Like, yes, with Uniswap, you can exchange Ethereum tokens for other Ethereum tokens, but we still have yet to see other basically cross chain exchanges that work really well. I know that BISC is another example where it's starting to kind of work, and
Mhm.
there's other technologies like Thor chain that we're kind of keeping an eye on. Um, and so there's a lot of potential here, but it's still early days, and we are very excited. And we see a future where, like I said, every asset is exchangeable on a DEX. It doesn't matter whether it's a stock or
Mhm.
a crypto kitty or whatever it is, right? Anything of value for anything else of value, you could exchange on a DEX, and you can do it. Believe it or not, you can do it in a legal, regulated way too. And I know that that might scare some people,
Mhm.
um, but you can imagine a world where the stock, like the stock part of it, where that's already regulated, flows through a DEX and a regulated part of a DEX, and then the non, like this, the Ethereum assets or the cryptocurrency flows through just a standard DEX of non-custodial exchanges. And that world can exist, and I think that world will come at some point in time.
Isn't that crazy? Like you could literally take your like tokenized shares and you could put them on a DEX. Like there's literally no limit to it as long as it's tokenized. It's crazy to think about.
It is so crazy, and there are technologies out there now today that already can do that. Like that's exactly what they do. They can collateralize, and create synthetic assets that track real world assets that have a
Mhm.
price, and exactly what you just said, just allowed to be exchanged on a DEX. And so the future is really exciting, and I can't wait to see it.
It is. It's crazy how fast it's moving too. It's like there's a new trend in crypto like every single week. Like NFTs are booming,
Yep.
Bitcoin's going to the moon, Doji coin is going to a dollar. Like DEXs are now the next big thing. I'm like, geez, it's moving so fast right now, and I'm in it all the time, and I can't keep up. I'm like, oh
I
my
can't
god.
either. I say that to my friends and family. They're asking me about some hot technology or whatever. I'm like, look, I'm in this day in, day out, and I cannot keep up with it either. There's so much going on, but a lot of excitement.
Oh yeah, and yield farming and staking. Do you guys support staking and yield farming, I guess, like through Exodus or
Yeah, so staking is really easy in Exodus if the
okay.
asset is already supported. So assets like Cardano, Tezos, it's just a one-click staking solution. Now, yield farming with things like Sushi or other assets like that are not supported today, but
Okay.
long term we have a plan to support those sorts of things.
Okay, sweet. Because I know that's like another big area that's kind of blown up lately. People will ask me, like people that don't even know about crypto, yo, like, have you heard about this yield farming? I'm like, what the fuck is yield farming? Like, there's just new things popping up all the time. So that's how I know the industry is innovating like crazy. Like,
Oh
God.
yeah, like am working with this consultant, and it was, let's see, we started working with this consultant back in maybe a January or time frame or so, and I convinced the consultant to take a payment in Bitcoin, and he's like, okay, I'll do it. I'll take a payment in Bitcoin. And then it was just a few weeks ago, he said to me, he's like, JP, I bought sushi. I loaded up on sushi. I loaded up on all these assets. I'm like, wow, that's awesome that he's going off and doing this sort of thing. So you're absolutely right. I mean, it is moving fast.
Yeah, it's also weird that all these swaps are named after food.
Mm, yeah.
Sushi swap, pancake swap. um, anyways, yeah. So what's Exodus's um, roadmap look like going through the rest of 2021? What are you guys planning to do, or that's on the horizon, or that you're excited about?
There's a couple big things here. So we're gonna have this offering, and when the offering closes, and we don't know how long it's gonna take to close, but we're raising $75 million. So whenever we hit that $75 million mark, the offering will close. We will then issue the later, shortly after, we will issue the tokens. And then we will later this year we intend to open up trading on T0, which is a regulated marketplace to trade digital securities. And we intend to put the T0 interface inside of Exodus so that the trading is very
Hmm.
seamless, all in one Exodus experience.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, buying Bitcoin with fiat like dollars inside of Exodus, if in some scenarios it works really well. So if you have an iPhone and you have Apple Pay set up, it can work really well, and you can have Bitcoin in your Exodus wallet in less than 2 minutes. Now, for people that have an Android phone, you're out of options with Exodus. So we want to bring those sorts of options to people around the world, because most people in the world actually have Android phones and not iPhones. So that's something that we're looking to do. In addition to that, we want to make it easy so that people can just connect their bank accounts, link their bank accounts, so that they can easily buy cryptocurrency with their dollars or fiat currency. And so that's another thing that we're looking to build out into Exodus this year.
Yeah, that'd be a cool addition. Then why would they need to even go to an exchange? They could just use Exodus and not have to really leave the wallet, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then actually we have one more thing related to that we're super
Mhm.
excited about is we want exactly that. We see a future where you don't even have to leave your Exodus wallet. You can imagine a world where if you have, let's say, a Binance account, a Kraken account, a Coinbase account, you could manage all of that from within the Exodus wallet, and you would never
Mhm.
have to leave at all. And you have one trading interface. You don't have to manage or hassle with multiple trading interfaces. And when you want to pull money out of the exchange, you could do it with one click. You don't have to mess around pasting addresses or anything like that. It's just one interface to manage all of your portfolios, whether they're in an exchange or a wallet. So that will be coming later this year as well, that we're pretty excited for.
Man, that's the dream right there. I'd like to have just one interface to rule them all. That makes
Yes,
it so
yes,
much more
exactly.
simple.
One interface to rule them all.
Um, what about like a card? You guys got to get like one of those debit cards if you're like going full board into this stuff. Like it'd be really cool to have like an Exodus like prepaid debit card that you could just load up with Bitcoin. So I think everyone's going that direction at this point.
See, that's the thing. Because everybody's going that direction, we actually don't want to go that direction. We want to
Really?
watch. We want to watch, and we want to see how companies do this. And
Hmm.
then we're gonna do what we call like the fast follow strategy. So they're gonna do this. They're gonna prove how exactly it works and how it'll work well. Then we will fast follow in, and then we will do it.
If you do it, please get it with a chip card reader because it's so annoying to have
Don't you
one but
have
not
that
have
these
it
days?
with a
I thought
chip.
you have to have a chip card. I thought all credit cards have the chip cards these days.
Not well, the credit cards like traditional ones do, but like for like so like BitPay, for example,
Yeah,
BitPay's had like their crypto card for a long time and I love it. It's pretty badass. But
yeah.
it wasn't until recently that they finally put the chip in it. I'm like, why did it take so long? And then I think Coinbase has one coming out and there's a few other companies, but yeah, make sure you guys have the
We
chip.
will
It's so
we will
annoying
get
because
the chip
everyone
in
takes
there.
chip nowadays.
We will get the chip.
Thank you. um, I think we covered so much. I think that's a good place to wrap it up. So, JP, thanks for taking the time to come on, and I love chit chatting about crypto and the industry with new and fun people just like you, um, especially when there's so much crazy stuff going on. And obviously, learning about Exodus and what you guys doing. You guys got a super cool wallet. I actually recommended it to my own father and to some other friends as well because it's actually for me it feels really seamless. So you guys got something really cool going on. So yeah, keep it up, man.
Well, thank you, Brandon. I appreciate being on the show today.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. Stay healthy, stay safe, and chat soon.
All right, thank you.